You know, if you told me that a Attack of the Killer Tomato style film about a pair of killer pants was going to be good, I'd have told you were full of it. But when it comes to SLAXX, I'd be wrong. Because while I thought I was going to have trouble fitting, it was just my size. So let's talk about it. What's going on, Dungeon Dwellers? Welcome back to Dave's Dungeon. I am your host, as always, the one, the only, Dungeon Master Dave, coming at you again with another one of these horror films. Oh man, this film is great. I feel like it does a lot of good things, and I really want to dive off into it. But before I can, let me tell you about the categories I judge each film on and give you a general breakdown of how I do this. So each film gets 5 categories, and those are plot, special effects, tension, gore, and victim, killer, and ending, etc. The last category is basically a catch-all. I judge each film based on 10 points. Each category based on 10 points, and then I overall give the film a grade out of 50. So, with that in mind, let's jump right in. Now, the overall gist of SLAXX, the plot. I have to say, I don't hate this. I really don't. I thought I was going to find the whole premise preposterous, but then they had to go and write a story for it that made sense. And I really have to say, it worked because it brought horror to a women's issue. And I won't say solely a woman's issue, but I would say my wife has a struggle with this more than I do, and a lot of the female friends I have struggled with this more than I have. I often find while I do have some problems finding clothes that work for me and fit me and I feel comfortable in, I don't have to fight clothing manufacturers for pockets. Okay? And that's where this feels like a more pressing, more pointed women's film in that respect, and in the respect of the plot. It deals a lot more with the sort of body problems and clothing problems and fashion problems that women and especially young girls are going to run into with today's society, and the way the culture presents them with the image that they should have, and the way the influencer presents them with the image that they should have, when really the world underneath is not good, and you really shouldn't take those points of authority to heart as much as they want you to. um and given that that's sort of the feel of the film, it's fun that it's our own greed and it's our own sort of ability to say one thing and do another that kicks this movie off with, just a punch. And I loved it. I think the sort of overall overt plot of the film, even as a guy, made sense, because I've heard my wife go on enough rants about pocket sizes and about fits and about cuts and about the way it hugs certain things and doesn't hug others in regards to all of her fashion, that this film still didn't feel like it alienated me. It felt like it informed me better than it inalienated me, in the idea that it wasn't my issue. Um, that being said, the way it sort of uses the the point of stress, I would say, the item itself as the thing that causes the trauma in the film. Oh man, that's great. That was so good. That was so good. They actually made it tie in to the plot, and they made it actually develop with the plot, and oh, the story you told me. And by the way, no spoilers until I tell you so. Um, but the way you kind of develop into the story that it is really phenomenal, and it really, you don't see it coming And in a film that's only 77 minutes, it's impressive the amount of stuff they actually develop, and they actually kind of point out and put up in front of your face to make you uncomfortable about and make you reckon with and recognize. But the overall sort of trouble of the movie is twofold. And I really like that too, because it's not just that this is a women's film, and I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it's predominantly just for women. I don't. That's not the point of this, because men have their role in it too. And if I was uncomfortable with the last film and our role in it, I'm definitely uncomfortable about how much of a man bastard I was going into this film. But it doesn't do a bad job of not shoving that in your face. It goes, hey, if you're this kind of person, yeah, you're a douchebag. But not all the people in this film are revolve to "I would rather see you die." Okay, not everyone in this film goes there, but the people that do actually have a larger role in the film and actually get a lot of good screen time and fulfill a part of the plot that was needed. Because this isn't just, well, it's girls versus pants that are killing them. It's girls versus boys versus girls versus pants, and the boys are using the pants and the girls are using the pants, and it all kind of comes together in a really significant and, I think, pointed way that is satisfying. And I really do think the plot on this rises to the level of what I want to see for the next generation of horror. Really do. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9. And I know, well, some of it is just so silly, though. I don't know, 8.5. Let's go 8.5. Let's go 8.5. Special effects. I have to say, the special effects in this film. If you're not here for a pair of pants that kill people, why are you here? Huh? Like the name of the film is SLAXX. Why are you here? It's a 10. I think the special effects in this are really, really well done. I think they have a good thing going. They really make a lot of sense. And they use the pants to their full effect. They actually they don't just do one thing with the pant. And you're going, well, how does a pair of pants kill someone in more than one way? And I'm going, watch the film. No spoilers. I'm not leaking anything on that. Tension, I would say it's decent to okay. Um, it's definitely built less out of the pants and more out of the interpersonal stuff. Um, the the tension with the pants is more, I don't know. I'm less worried about it, to be perfectly honest, than I am the other people involved in this scenario. Um, because, I mean, from the word go, the pants are kind of just doing their thing, and you don't necessarily know that why they're doing it. But then once you find out, and you find out kind of who the real culprit is, you get a chance to address the tension of the film a little bit better. I think I like that tension better than I liked the tension with the pants, because that was more of a, I don't know, they make the pants feel more sympathetic than they do the other side. If that's possible. um so for tension, I would say that's like the 6. It's not great because it's split, and you get kind of a mixed feeling of, am I supposed to be tense now or not? But it still does a good job where it does use tension. Gore, I really feel like the gore in this film is why you watch this film, because I don't know, it's not just about targeting women. It's about the way It's about the way all of it targets all of us in a way. The consumerism of everything targets all of us. So the gore, the way it kind of uses that is quite effective. And I would say is like a 9. I would give it like 9.5. Oh, victim and killer and killers and victims and all of that. I'll give that a 10, but I have to leave most of that for the spoiler section. As per always, because there's so much kind of to this one, and how much of the issues there are in this one are sort of multi-spoked. So, as much as I like the sort of dichotomy between the good guys and the bad guys and then the really bad guys, I don't know how I would talk to you about that without kind of spoiling the overall thing. So we're going to leave that there. I'm going to give that a 10. So for an 8.5, let's add up some stuff because I'm bad at math. 8.5, 10, 6, 9. Oh no, so that should be a 34 and then a 44. Okay, so it's another 88. So that's going to be a B plus, A minus. Really it's a B plus, but I'll give it the A minus in this case because it really is that good, and I didn't think they were going to pull it off. And some people don't like that. I don't like comedy horror all that much because I don't like the dispersion of the threat with the comedy. And I enjoy a horror film for the scare, for the actual building of tension, for the actual development of horror. And when you do comedy, you do a lot to just kind of disperse that in little spurts of this is scary versus this was funny versus this is scary. And you get breaks. And to some degree, this is refreshing because you get those breaks. But at the same time, there are times when you just can't get scared of it because it's funny, and that's where a lot of people say, why don't you like comedy horror? That's kind of the reasoning why. But this film, I will say, as a comedy horror, worked for me. I loved it. I thought it worked. I thought every kind of joke in it kind of lands because I've worked in a clothing store. I get the kind of joke. I've worked at a Hollister for a cup of coffee. Jesus, that was bad, and everything they kind of explore there is kind of there too. So there's a lot in this that resonates, and a lot in this that people are going to have a good experience with, and a lot in this that they're going to feel. We've all worked that crap retail job, whether it's in food or clothing or whatever. So a lot of people are going to find a way to get into this film. And with that in mind, let's get out of this non-spoiler section and into something more comfortable. Yeah, that's cue. Shoo. We're going to be doing some spoilers. And before you do, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you leave a like. It really does help the channel out. Lets YouTube know that we're making good content over here and that you want to see more of it. And so they show my stuff to more people, which gets you more of it. Make sure you subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more and hear more about all these horror films that I'm bringing to you each and every day so you can get a taste of them. And make sure you ring the bell to that end so you get the notifications whenever they drop. But without further ado, it's time to change over to the spoiler section. So, I thought for real, this was going to be the most ridiculous concept of any movie I watched. And I put Freaked on this list, and I already know what half of the things in Freaked do. So I'm like sitting over here going, this has got to be silly. This has got to be too much. And no, turns out it was actually like, for all the smart stuff Censor, the second film in this review, tries to do, SLAXX actually achieves what Censor was trying to do and make a smart horror film that's pointing at something in reality, some critique of it. And I just feel like, yes, movies that actually make us feel uncomfortable for reasons that are worthwhile. Yes. Getting pockets in women's pants. Yes. I am a pastor at the Church of Women's Pockets. Okay? I don't know what we got to do to get full-size pockets in women's pants, but by God, I'm going to do it when I can. Okay? And for every girl out there who's ever been hurt by a cute pair of pants that had no pockets, this movie's for you. This movie is for you. And it also tackles another kind of thing that's not just about the sort of struggles we all have with body dimorphism and the idea of, struggling with image. It also struggles with the idea of consumerism in a very broad way and in a very powerful way of, the way greed plays into consumerism and the way we source things and the way that we value others and the way that we value the people who make the things that we use. And so while you may feel one way about the way these things affect you, the situation also begs you to consider how it affects those who make it possible. And that was really refreshing. Like with Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, the older film that I referenced, that has a kinship with this and the way it uses an object as its horror object. It doesn't have quite the rationale for why the tomatoes come alive and kill people other than the mad scientist angle. But when it comes to killer pants, on the other hand, there's plenty of reasons why pants would kill people. And I have to say, I was so refreshed to see that every way I thought the pants would kill someone, it did, but none of them were done in such a way that I felt ripped off. None of them felt just stupid to an unreasonable amount. You know what I mean? It's fair to say that this movie could have been goofy. This movie could have been stupid and could have just failed. But between a bit of safe acting, I don't want to say it's great. It's good. I want to say the actors in this do a lot of favors to this film, and it's not terrible. It's really not. The acting is really kind of just young, and you can tell they're unseasoned actors in a way. But that adds to their sort of newness. It adds to the sort of situation within the film as well. So I really dig this film. I really think it's a good film. And like I said, it's gonna make some issues with some people, but at the same time, it's a cool way to bring that issue into the foreground and actually use it to develop some horror with in a way that might be heard more so than the general talking points. And I respect that movie. And it was really nice to see I won't say all female cast, but a powerful female cast rising to the occasion and kind of getting into this film. It really did feel like it had some really nice empowerment beats and notes in it that definitely could have been developed should this film be something else, or they push it any further, or they go with another one. I really think they're going to stop it here. I think this is a one and done, unfortunately. I'm sad to see it go out I'm happy to see it go out as strongly as it did, but I'm sad to see it go out with probably no sort of follow up. But at the same time, where it closed felt like a complete moment. It felt just, like inevitable. And you can say as much as you want in the comments whether you thought it was actually inevitable or whether you thought it was sort of a cop out and a crap way to end it. But I feel like it told the story that the main actors were trying to tell as well, and that was the story of the victimized and the story of the people in the film who were supposed to be protected, the people in the film who were supposed to be okay, but who really end up not being, because everybody's lying to themselves and others. Oh man. And this film's got some really great moments and some really good lines, and the sort of situational forces that go about in this film I can vouch for. I don't know who all watching this will have worked retail, but when you get locked into a store after hours because you're setting up new features and you're gonna be there overnight, it is that bad. It is, you're locked in. There's no way out other than the fire escape, and even if you did that, there'd be a police officer there in about 30 seconds with a gun pointed at you, wondering why you left the building. If you wanted to break your lockdown, you had to call the night security guard and get him to come let you out most of the time, unless you were going to go punch one of the emergency exits. So, but most of the time the emergency exit isn't locked unless you were in one of the like interior building kind of more central rooms of the mall, so where I worked, and then you really were just stuck inside. But that being said, I feel like it wasn't too unrealistic the way they did that scenario of the lock-in. That actually worked and made sense if you've ever worked in retail. And especially in like I would imagine a high-end store like this with like releases like that, I would imagine they'd go into a full lockdown situation. But I don't imagine you would get stuck there. But that being said, it still worked even if you don't buy that. It's still a working movie, in my opinion, even if that was a minus for you and not a plus. Oh, what else to talk about? It does tackle the sort of like, well, not every issue in this realm is the same, in the ways of like multiculturalism, where, if you're not respecting the culture, but you're trying to still be someone who appeases someone else, it slaps you in the face just as well. It goes, if you're not going to care about my culture and the fullness of it, don't pretend like you do. And I thought that was, it goes to a lot of different places. It handled a lot of different issues for a movie that was trying to be funny and had a runtime of 77 minutes. I mean, heck, my video on it is a third as long as it was. But that being said, I think that's going to do it for this review. I think I've yacked about this film quite enough, and I super duper recommend it. Yeah, don't use SS to logo your shit anymore, please. I thought of that immediately, and it felt bad. I felt bad for doing it, but just stop with the SS stuff. That's a lost symbol. Stop doing it. Stop using it. Super Soaker is the only one that gets to use it. Okay? Stop it. But that's going to do it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had fun. Make sure you leave me a like. I really appreciate it when y'all do that. Please. 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 Anyways, thank you so much for joining me on this adventure, Dungeon Dwellers. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you come back and see us for our next one. So until we adventure together again, I'll see you on our next journeys. And until then, y'all stay fashionable and sassy.